Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm half asleep. We seem to have a bit of buffering here. Why is that? Oh, sorry. I've just muted myself on my screen. I don't want to be listening to myself. That's not good. Anyway, guys, I hope you are okay. I'm just going to check. Oh, the settings are working. I'm getting messages on my screen. Hello, Paul. Evening. How are you, buddy? Do forgive my voice. I am coughing quite a bit. I have had the lurgy in the last 4 days since the last live stream. Maybe that's what induced it. I hope not. Hi, Nick. How are you, buddy? Nice to have you join us again for another Focus Mark 1 surgery since last week. Actually went really well. There was a lot of people with many different issues on their Mark 1, and hopefully I've been able to answer some questions and point people in the right direction. And I'm hoping that some people could actually come back this week and maybe some positive things, maybe like they might have had the work done and things are a lot better, or the things are in the process of being sorted, maybe. So it's all well and good. Alison, good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the live stream. Again, excuse me. Sorry for my voice. I'm coughing all over the place. Man flu. Um, Nick, I'm good. I missed last week's due to work, but here now. Welcome. Oh, I did. I didn't actually realise you missed last week's. Actually, there was so many people that tuned in. Got 10 people. This is ridiculous. I've never had live streams like this. I'm usually talking to 4 different people. I might as well cut the live stream and just do a like a Google Meet or like a Google meeting. I don't know, all those online things. Um, but no, I'm glad you're here, Nick. And you did give me a message. Actually, I did get a message and I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't listened to it, I should say. So forgive me for that. I've been all over the place the last few days. Paul, hope this surgery isn't going to. Sorry, I can't see that full comment. There's a in the corner of my screen. There's like this heart, and it covers people's comments up. So I need somebody to comment. Can someone comment? I need to bump it up a bit because I can't see half of the end of the comment. But I'm hoping that. Oh, brilliant! Thank you, Matthew. You've just helped me out. Oh, brilliant. Oh, yes. Everyone's getting in the act. Paul, hope this surgery isn't going to start with him snapping his rubber glove. Hope not, because if it's anything like the rubber gloves that I wear, the miles will not wear rubber gloves at all. That's why I clean my cars, Paul. That's why I have clean engine bays, because I can literally work on my Focus and Beatrix and definitely Ruby very soon with my bare hands. And yeah, they're going to be dirty, but they're not going to be like filthy. You know what I mean? Um, but I'm going to invest in some proper gloves because I keep buying the cheap latex ones. And I need the proper mechanics ones. They're a lot better. Nick, you gave me some actually, and I thought they were pretty good. Very, very durable. In fact, I wore one pair when we worked on your Focus. The whole day of filming, one pair. That's it. Um, so I don't go cheap on your gloves, guys. Um, Matthew, hi Andrew, hi buddy, how are you? Nice to join. Nice for you to join the live stream. I say do forgive my voice. I'm coughing constantly, man flu and all that. But pleased to meet you. And are you on the Focus Mark 1 side of things? I'm assuming. I mean, I don't really care. At the end of the day, my live streams are for everybody who enjoys cars in any single sense. So I'm not really. I'm not like tunnel visioned or anything like that. I have plenty of people on the Rover side of things that watch my Ford stuff, and Ford on the Rover stuff. You know, it's each their own. Thanks, Nick. Adam, evening, buddy. Hope you are okay. The last time I heard you weren't very well, so I hope you're good. Unlike me at the moment, but pleased to hear from you, and I hope you are really good, and that all your cars are behaving. I'm glad you can join this live stream for however long. 17 people and counting. Need the likes. Why are 17 people watching this? Haven't liked. I'm only joking. It's too early. Adam, evening. Hope you're well. Hey, good evening, buddy. How are you? This surgery is also about you guys putting suggestions on the screen, because you're all live, and I can only get through the comments so forth by making my answers as clear as possible. But other people in the comment might have their own suggestions. I'm all for that. I think that's the only way you can have a good live stream, is if we're bouncing ideas backwards and forwards. I've been surprised at the amount of things that I've learned through these live streams, and it's the best way of connecting with people, especially during the winter. For me now, I'm pretty much done in terms of shows. I think there's one or two more I might have in the cards. I'm still debating whether I'm going to go to the NEC Classic Motor Show at the NEC. Well, obviously at the NEC, Andrew. Next month in November. The ticket prices, I've never been to that show, and there's a reason for that. It's a huge show, and you can't see everything in one day. It's that big. It's not like the Practical Classics Restoration Show, which I always go to because I like getting my hands dirty. That is me. That is my channel through and through. So I'll be going in March, but November, I don't know. I might be too busy. But the price of that show and the parking is eye-watering. Okay, I don't have to park. I could get the bus. But that show is getting so expensive now compared to previous years when it was pretty much the same size, but then the prices started to go like that. I'm not so certain. It would be a good thing as a YouTuber to do this, but I'm not really in it for that. I can't get enthusiastic on videos that I'm going to a place because I kind of have to just tick a box. That's no, I don't do that. I don't tick boxes. My channel, if you're new to the channel, it is a journal, a blog of the skills that I already have, skills that I've learned from other people, things that I'm picking up as I'm going through this journey, because that's what it is. I'm not doing things for, well, I like likes and algorithms and subs, but I only get that. I only get satisfaction when it's genuine people who love what I do, and I'm not trying to tick as many boxes and make as many people happy as possible. So, each their own. Anyway, focus on the cars, Andrew. Matthew, I'm the one with my mother-in-law's Mark 1, one owner, 46,000 miles, 1.6 gear, Panther Black. What a lovely combination that is. You need to keep that. That's a nice car. Fair play. That's a lot of people. Well, I got to be honest with you. If your car is relatively rust-free, based on the information you've just given me, so one lane owner from you, 46,000 miles, 1.6 gear, Panther Black, we're looking at a £2,000 car if that's got no rust. Straight off. Paul, Black Rhino gloves are pretty good. Oh, I'll note that down. Thank you very much, Paul. Talk about suggestions. Black Rhino gloves, everyone. Thank you. There was a few, but thank you for that. I've just written that down on my post-it. Okay. Adam, I've noticed a lot more low mileage Mark 1 springing out of nowhere in the past 6 to 12 months, especially. That is very, very noticeable, Adam, and I'm glad you've noticed that, because they're everywhere. Facebook Marketplace is littered with either really bad examples or really pristine ones that have just come out of nowhere. That's the beauty of Facebook Marketplace. I haven't done any Facebook Marketplace or advert videos in a while. Maybe I should do one very soon, because things have changed a little bit since I started doing them videos, and I'm starting to see some absolute peaches coming out the woodwork, and I'm thinking, these cars are so nice. Why don't you just put it on Car and Classic? Probably because it's a different audience. But Facebook Marketplace, you can get some bargains. I bought Ruby off Facebook Marketplace, believe it or not. That's how I came to know about that car. That didn't go through KYG, or there's a few ones actually. So yeah, and they are going to be at a premium. And as we've noticed recently, the values are going up, and people are willing to pay more money for them. It's just the first question, and this relates back to the latest video of which has been liked, and I'm really glad the awareness of the rear arms has gone out there. Now I know that I'm not the first one to say this. People have been quietly banging on about this for years, and they've been casually ignored because it has been happening. These arms, they snap in those places, they corrode badly, and there have been isolated incidents up to very recently where we've had a few more than that, which is what's prompted me to do the video. But on most of them, they will need to be changed. I've had people send me pictures asking for my opinion, and I pretty much will say in 5 seconds I can tell you if you need to change them, and 95% of the time I've said they need to be changed because of a matter of course. There is an element of doubt. If there's any doubt, there's only one Focus that I've seen at a show recently, and I looked at the arms and I thought those arms look actually really good for the age of car. It's obviously garaged, and that was at the festival. The exception, it was a green saloon, and it didn't look bad at all. But as proven by other people, just because they don't look bad doesn't mean they can still stress fracture. So it can be, I'm thinking, not just a corrosion issue, but an age issue with the metal. They're clearly not the best things in the world. I mean, Ford could have made them cast iron, but Ford don't do cast iron, do they? The only thing that's cast iron in the suspension are the hubs at the front. There's nothing else that's, at the back as well sometimes. There's what we call the swivel pillar, not the hub. Everything bolts to it. But everything else is steel. I have no such problems. The Rover 45, cast iron bottom arms. The Honda got that spot on by doing that. You don't have to worry about them. But pushing, again, the bolts, they seize in the bushes. The cast iron arms, the bottom arms on a Rover 45, you've got the spring and you've got 3 bushes. One bush for the spring, the shock absorber, and spring assembly, this sort of McPherson strut-ish assembly. You've got the inner bush and you've got the outer bush. And I think the inner and outer ones are the same. The middle one is different, but the bolts snap. Hey-ho, where have we heard that before? So it's not Focuses that just suffer from this problem. It is a lot of cars on this age where it just is. The advice is, when you have it done, can you insist that the garage put Loctite on the thread and copper ease through the shaft where it goes through the bushing? Sounds crazy, but it really honestly works. And I can take the bottom arms off my car, no problem. And the bolts are great. You know, I've had no issues. And I have had to change the springs after that job was done, so it's not a big deal. Paul, I've lost it again. It keeps jumping up and down. Paul, Mk1 2002 1.8 gear here. Very nice combination. 175,000 miles. Project turned daily. Oh, so you bought it as a project car, and then it became a bit more reliable than what you thought it might be, and then you thought, oh, this is usable. That's not the first person to have said that. That's quite interesting, that is. Using a 21-year-old car as a daily, well, why not? I know people with older cars that actually do that. It depends what your mileage is, and I wouldn't rely on a Mark 1, as reliable as they are. I wouldn't rely on any car over the age of 20 with motorway miles, for instance. If you're having to commute on the motorway to work in a Mark 1, not ideal, really, because when things do go wrong, which they do, your car's going to be off the road for a few weeks, so you need another car. Which is why people don't generally run older cars with high mileages. But it depends on your personal circumstances, like work, how far away is work, how big's your commute, really, getting to all your amenities. Sorry, I've read the bottom one. So you only do 5,000 a year. Oh, that's perfect. That's low mileage. That's pretty much low mileage. Mine was about 4,000, and that's low mileage. So no, that's not a problem. That's exactly what you can use them for. It's what I've been using mine for quite a while. They are very usable, but it's when repairs need to be done. Bottom arms, give it a few days at least. So your car might be off. If you want to do it yourself, then it's that's to last longer really. It will be off the road for a longer period of time before. So I think with a Mark 1, if you're going to own a Mark 1, have in mind to have another car, maybe preferably a younger car, unless you're like me who can just about get his hands dirty with older cars and get along. But there was a story that somebody told me ages ago that he bought 4 cars, 4 old classics, so he'd never have to own a car after the year 2000, and that didn't really work because there was actually a period of a month where all 4 cars weren't working. Yeah, for 4 different reasons. So that plan doesn't really work with older cars. So you can have as many as you want, but they could all be just non-functioning for whatever different reason at the same time. Has anybody got any problems with their Mark 1s that they want to share on here? Because you've got my time until probably 10 o'clock, maybe just after 10. I don't let it run for 2 hours because my voice tends to croak, and unfortunately I've not got as much of a voice today. So if you have a problem, you've got my time, and I'll get through the comments now so that if you put something on now, I'll get to it quickly, because I'm pretty sure people don't want to be hanging around waiting for me to get to your comment. You might as well just make a comment, go and have a cup of tea, and if we've gone past it, you can rewind it backwards. Adam, good friends, I'm lucky not to have been poorly like a few people have been on holiday to Greece. You said very nice, and you saw some lovely Mark 1s there. Yeah, you saw there was quite a few Mark 1s, and because of the climate, no rust. I'm sure everybody from the UK would love that. That guy from Seta Alpha 5. Hello, sir. How are you? I'm not too bad. I hope you're good. Lovely for you to have joined us again. Bruno Fix. Hello, I'm Bruno. I follow you for half a year. Thank you very much, sir. Pleasure. You're a new face that I haven't seen in the comments. I didn't comment until now. I'm from Croatia, and I owned a State Blue Mark 1 estate with 250 kilometers. Oh my goodness me, that's a lot. So that's 200,000 miles, I think, over 200. That's quite a mileage. I'm assuming that's a diesel. I'm going to put some assumations on that one, but not a surprise to me, buddy. And do people generally look after their car? Now, this is a question I have for most people who are listening to this from Europe. Do people generally look after their cars a little bit better in Europe because they are generically second-hand wise way more expensive? Because in the UK, we're starting to see a tide of actually it's very expensive to get a second-hand car now. And people are starting to either go down the avenue of getting even more desperate and taking out loans that they can't afford on cars that they are in fact leasing and not buying, or they're actually thinking, I'm going to have an older car and I'm just going to stick to it and buy as good as I can get and just keep throwing money at it because I can't afford newer. And that's what's happening in a few little corners, and it's going to be more apparent, although I've got a feeling that private car ownership might be a problem in about 30-40 years time. I think it'll be like the 60s where you saw very few cars on the road, and owning a car is actually a luxury in 40 years time. That's my guess. Nick, I see the Focus model is still in the box, and question, it is. This is what Nick has very kindly given me as a present for helping him on his Mark 1 Focus. Oh yes, and we know that these are quite expensive. I have taken it out of the box, but I have yet to I have taken it out of the box out of pure curiosity. I mean, it's made in Germany. Yeah, Paul Models Art, yeah, they're made in Germany. No, designed in Germany, made in China. I'm wrong, and it's a 143-inch scale model. And yeah, it had to be that Moondust Silver with. Now they are gear wheel trims if it's a pre-facelift, which this is. Okay, so they are the correct wheels. That is a gear. If that's a facelift model, those wheels are LX alloys. Top tip. For those people who didn't know that. Dynax, how does it work? Is there a particular product to get and what do you have to do to apply it to your car? Yep, Dynax. I've got to get some for Ruby. Actually, I've got to put that on the list. Thank you very much for reminding me. That is on my to-do list for Ruby in a couple of months, but I'm going to start ordering things now in advance. There are a few products that generically are used for rust protection. This is quite important for any car this age, especially in Mk1 Focus. Now, wax oil has been my go-to product for many years, but I hate the stuff now. I used to hate the stuff back then, but it was the only product about 5 or 6 years ago that was really available and commercial and really just usable. You needed an air compressor, a shotgun, and plenty of overalls. You really need to cover yourself up because it's a shockingly messy job. And believe you me, I've done a job on. I actually did it once, stupidly with someone parked next to me, and I didn't ask them to move, and I ended up spraying a load of wax oil across the car, and the wind blew it onto my neighbour's white Golf. Luckily, I got away with it and I cleaned the car before she came back, thank God. She doesn't live here no more. So learn your lesson there. It was messy and horrible, and it wasn't brilliant. And I did apply it to the Mk1. But I did a bit of an underbody review of that car. And when I say review, I looked at everything and I thought, I've got to sort a lot of this out. And everything bar the subframe was removed. I did drop the subframe fractionally to get the filler pipe out. You can take the filler pipe out with the subframe in situ, but you've got to be prepared to scrape the lip of your inner driver's arch. So that is, if you're worried about the paint, if you've had the arch sprayed, most of you haven't, you have to be very aware about that. And I just thought this is horrible stuff. It's tacky, it's nasty. I just don't like it. And then there was a few new products that came on the market around the pandemic, and that's Lanagard. That was the commercial one that it's on Facebook, it's on Amazon, it's everywhere you go. It's a very available product. Dynax is also the other product which has been out, built Hamburg Dynax it's called. There's plenty of them. I use the ultra clear stuff. I use it on all my cars because you can see through it and it's nice. It leaves a nice sheen. You can go for the UB, which is ultra black, which looks like it's like a same color as wax oil, black, but it's not like wax oil. It just looks nice when it's applied. If you want to cover the car in black underneath, but if you don't and you want things to be clear, then fine. I use the ultra clear stuff. There are cavity waxes. They've got a range of products. They have a special type of grease, that sort of thing. So there's quite a few different ways of applying them, and little niche products here and there. But the main thing is they both contain lanolin. Lanolin comes from sheep, believe it or not. And it has actually been proven to be an extremely good product as a wax. It is literally, both products are almost the same, but they're not. Lanagard I consider to be slightly watered down and a little bit cheaper for the amount of fluid that you buy. The reason that Dynax is more expensive for what you get, and I generally buy it in the aerosol cans because they've got a special valve, which means that you can have the can virtually upside down, and it's still spraying until every last bit comes out. So I think there's 2 valves on it to help that happen. Most aerosol cans would stop when you get to about that angle. Dynax has a lot more lanolin in it, and it's much more durable. Lanogard is watered down. It's not a bad thing because it's easy to apply. You can just use it with a spray gun, whereas with Dynax you need to use an aerosol. Okay. The other thing is the Lanogard needs a little bit less prep. So if you want, and this is for most people, I think, if you're not like me and you wire brush, this is what you have to do for Dynax. You have to wire brush everything down and get as much of that loose flakes as possible. All that rust needs to go. It really does. You need to get the wire drill on, the wire brush on. You need to spend weeks, because that's what I'm doing with Ruby. That's what I did on Beatrix. That's what I've done on the Focus. I've done it. I've put it on axle stands for about a month. And every single day I get home from work, get my overalls on, half an hour drilling. Well, not drilling, but wire brushing on the drill. You know what I mean? Tiny little wire brushes here and there. You've got to get as much of that stuff off as possible. Okay, loose paint, whatever. Then that's your opportunity of, if you want to make it look nice like I do, painting. But if you don't want to paint, you stick Dynax over it, because you don't have to use rust converters. If there's a bit of rust, that's okay. It's like surface rust. You don't have to use rust converter like I use the Granville stuff or Genolite. You can use Dynax, because Dynax contains rust inhibitors, and they're very good at what they do, from what I've been told. And I've seen the results on Beatrix and the Focus, especially Beatrix, because Beatrix is my daily driver, and I've noticed there is no deterioration in the underside of that car. Okay, it's a Rover. It's possibly more well built underneath than a Ford. No offense, but in general, there is evidence that it's just thicker and heavy, more longer lasting. It will need to be topped up probably every 2 years, maybe 3, depending on how much use it gets. The Focus, because of the lack of use it gets, I won't need to top that up for a few years at least. Beatrix, probably 2 years. So it won't be this year, it'll be next year. Lanogard, it needs, because it doesn't need as much prep as what I've just described, you can just do a little bit of, literally you can do it in a day. You can literally go onto your car, get dirty, get your overalls on, wire brush all the loose rust. It doesn't have to be brilliant, and then just slash the Lanogard all over the place. Watch your brakes. For both products, do not spray it on your brake discs, please. And that's it. Lanogard's easy, but it doesn't last as long. You need to top it up every year. So which would you rather go with? So there's not an answer for any particular one. I just prefer Dynax because I'm more thorough. But for most other people, which is probably 95% of people, Lanogard. That answers that question. I'd recommend Dynax personally, but that's only if you're willing to put the effort in. On a Focus Mark 1, if you're willing to get dirty, do it. Good thing is, I mean, the wax oil on the Focus that I've put on is all off now. It's completely off. I've managed to remove as much of that wax oil as possible before I laid it with Dynax, which was earlier this year. No, it wasn't. Was it? No, it was last year. So let me get back. Paul, interested to know if people are getting terrible MPG like me. Luckily, if I get 22 in the urban, seems poor. That is a bit on the poor side for 1.8. They should get about 25 to 30. I'd just go back for basic servicing. Also, clean your throttle body. Try and take your throttle body off the inlet manifold if you can. It's a bit fiddly, but just take your time and clean the throttle body around the throttle disc. Take the throttle disc out. Again, somebody asked the question, is there a special coating? Just use contact cleaner. It's not going to do it any harm. And just just use a Scotch-Brite pad and go on the inside and just give it a good old whiz over. And you might find some interesting results, MPGM performance-wise and idling. Nick, petrol, diesel? Oh, I didn't ask that question. I assumed it was a 1.8 petrol. Is it a diesel? That can't be right. It's not a diesel. That's a petrol, isn't it? Oh, sorry, petrol. Look at the next comment, Andrew. Matthew, I've jumped there. It's all moving over the place. Matthew, I have no need for it, but it's so nice I'm keeping it. No rust, but she has lost the service history, sadly. I've never bought a car with service history. Don't worry about it. All done at a local garage, so handwritten bits of paper, so no record of it. Yeah, the truth is my car's service history stops 5 years ago, so don't worry about that. It is the way it is. I don't like the fact that people have to take it to a garage for a bit of paperwork. I just write things down and keep. What I do is generally I did this at this mileage. Okay, just have a piece of paper, what you replaced, what was done, and what mileage. Keep a chitty of that on a piece of paper or on your computer, whatever. And then you print that off or give that to the next owner. That's a really, you see, I like that. If I bought a car and the owner handed me a piece of paper with all the dates and what work had been done, I love that. That is one lovely, cared for owner. Seriously, I don't know anybody who does that. And I don't know why people don't. So maybe keep an eye on that. Just need to try and diagnose the boot leak. The dreaded boot leak. That is a problem that I would love to, that I've come across before. And I've come to the safe conclusion that to solve my boot leak, I actually bought a garage for my Mark 1 and that solved the entire issue altogether. Boot leaks, they can leak from several places. If you've not watched any of my videos, please do so. Basically, the number one is the rear light seals. So where the lights go in, there should be some seals. Take the lights out, reseal it, put it back in. That's the first one done. Secondly, they can leak where the wiring goes into the top of the boot by the headlining. The water can actually leak through that grommet and go in and damage your headlining. Mine is been slightly damaged towards the back end, but luckily it hasn't gone too crispy on me, and I managed to glue it all back together where the headlining started to separate. But I realised that, and water was sort of going all the way down the sides and into the boot well. Water is patient. I'm sorry to say, but water is our enemy, and it is patient, and it will find a leak. The other ones, you've got rubber bungs, like they look like little fake Phillips rubber bungs. They were for an item that should have been screwed in I think American cars. I can't remember what it was now. I keep forgetting the accessory that was, but they're rubber bungs. Take them out, put some RTV silicone, stuff the bungs back in. That's another place that mine was leaking from. Also, you've got these seams on the corners of the boot. Look up, you've got the corners where the rubber bungs are. You've got this seam that comes down. You need to silicone that. Put some black silicone. I know it doesn't look attractive, but come on, gotta be functional. Just put a bead of RTV silicone with your finger, one line. Don't mess it up. Don't make it look crap. Just make it look neat. And just do the same on the other side. One big blob of line and the water will be fine. It will just deflect where it needs to go. It doesn't go into the seam. Okay. Now, the other one is quite a common one. And it's one that you wouldn't actually notice until there is actually a bit of a problem with your boot. And that is the boot striker bolts. They can loosen. So you've got two bolts that go up to attach the tailgate to the body. They loosen. And when they loosen, the hinges are not as flush to the body as possible. Therefore, water is getting in and going in. So you need to drop the headlining at the back. So you need to take your C-pillar trims back. Be careful because the clips break. You need to take the two clips, those little beige clips on the headlining, and bring the headlining down. And you'll see the problem. You also find out if your grommet's leaking, because the grommet's right obviously in the middle. but tighten the bolts up. Tighten those 2 bolts up. I guarantee they're a bit looser. In fact, I'd recommend, if you've had your Mark 1 a number of years, go and do that now. I would do that job tomorrow, because you'll find that they're a bit looser. So you might find your tailgate feels a bit more secure. If your tailgate feels a bit wallowy, and you will be able to feel that, it won't move, but there'll be a slight gap. And that creates a bit of wallowiness when you're moving your tailgate down. Most people probably wouldn't be able to notice, but I did. And that's where I was alarmed when I realised how slack the bolts were. It's unbelievable. The opening and shutting over 20 years has loosened them off completely. Then you do have some seams that go sort of between the lights and the actual well, sort of where the seal, the boot seal goes, that run alongside the lights. They don't tend to leak from there, so don't worry about that. People do. I've seen people put gallons of silicone on. Don't do that, because water's got to run down those channels unobstructed. Because if you obstruct water, you're sending water down a completely different path, and you might find it's leaking from some ridiculous place that it wasn't before. The other one is the vent seals. I would get the bumper off and have a look at the vents. Have a look behind the vents on the side. They usually leak. Mine still leaks a little bit, even though the vents are brand new and they've been siliconed. They naturally leak because they're vents. Water still gets in, but there shouldn't be a lot of water. Shouldn't be a lot of water at all. Usually if there's a lot of water, it's a sign that the vents are not, they don't sit flush. They clip in, but there's a bit of movement, which is why I recommend, if they're in good condition and the flaps are still there, because sometimes those flaps, they could disintegrate and fall off. Unclip it out, excuse me. My dinner's coming up. Ugh. Unclip them, silicone round the back, and then clip the vents back in, and just watch all that silicone squish out. Brilliant. That won't leak now. That will not leak. Well, it will only leak what it is minutely supposed to. And then it will it spits of water. That's what you should see in there. Moisture, you should see spits. But that spits, that moisture, that will dry out, because those vents are supposed to let the car air itself. And they're generally, the water will just air itself out. The other one is that when you got the bumper off to do the vents, there's some seams. So when you're standing in front of the back of the car, you'll have the 2 corners, the bottom 2 corners of the boot, okay, where you've got the boot seal. You'll have some seams that go down. Put some silicone on them, okay. Run some silicone along them, and then wait for it to dry and go off, and then put the bumper back on. And that should cure 90% of the water that's coming in. I can't guarantee, because mine's still used to, but now I don't drive it in the rain, and I garage it. I don't have that problem, but I bet you I would if it was in the rain, even after doing all that work. So sadly, I can't really, I can't report that it cures it. It's a bad design flaw on a Mark 1 Focus. But then again, Rover 45s are dreadful for it. So, you know, it's not just Fords. It's a lot of cars. And Fords still have that problem to this day. They've never cured it. Always have the problem with the vents. So there you go. Good topic, Matthew. Thank you for that. Nick, trying to put some Red X petrol cleaner in and see if that works. Yes, I'd recommend that. Red X does work. In fact, hold on, I've got a bottle. I'll read it off, actually. Yeah. I mean, this is like a one-shot bottle, really. But in general, the whole idea is it improves engine life and efficiency by removing harmful deposits throughout the fuel system. Sounds like a Shell advert, doesn't it? Shell V-Power. But Shell V-Power does exactly the same. I reckon Shell put something very similar to this in their V-Power. Believe it or not, this bottle, 90% of what you see here, it's just it's not petrol. It's oh God, I can't remember what liquid this is. But basically, the actual additive in Red X, this bottle, probably that much. That much of this bottle is the actual additive that does the job. But if you go to a shop and you were to look at a bottle like that big, right? Okay, because that's how much additive is in this bottle. If you went to a shop and saw the price, let's say £4 or £5 for that much additive, you'd be like, what? I'm being ripped off here. How the hell does that amount do anything? It's true. What they do is they bulk it out, but I can't remember. Oh, kerosene. That's what this is. That's what you can smell. You open up a bottle of this. I forgot the name. Kerosene. Not most of what you see here is kerosene because it burns well. You need something that burns well in a petrol engine, but it's bulked out and given a bit of a dye to look nice because it's Red X. It's got to be red, isn't it? I was going to say most of it's, well, obviously hydrocarbons. Yeah. So yeah, that's the secret of Red X, kerosene and the additive. So interesting one that. But it will do the trick, I promise. Alison, my daily driver is a 2-litre gear, 52 plate, 103,000 miles. Lovely. That's a below average mileage for 52 plate. I think any Focus Mark 1 with that kind of mileage is below average. Any Focus Mark 1 below 100,000 miles is below average. Way below average. 2-litre gear. How is that on the fuel? I bet that packs a punch though. And a very desirable specification, that a 2-litre gear. They're not very common at all. Not rare, but they're not very common compared with the rest of them. It's more common to get the 1.6. How does it drive? You having any issues with it? Because they're very few and far between in terms of issues. Paul, I only do 5. Sorry, I read that one. Adam, I don't do that many miles either on any of my cars, maximum 3 to 4k per year, so roughly like me then, Adam. Paul, I've got all the suspension parts for the rear ready to go. Just had a new exhaust front to back, waiting for the new year. Perfect. But that's all and good. I'm glad that I've inspired you to look at that. Well, I'm not inspired, but just made you aware to get it done. Because a Focus Mark 1 will not handle the way you want it to if the back end of the car cannot be aligned. And goodness me, all the autocar reviews of about 5, 6, 7 years ago, you think of those reviews and what sort of Mark 1s they were driving when they do a Mark 1 review. And they've kind of been driving very good cars. I mean, even 10 to 15 years of age, a lot of the suspension were the originals, and I'm not being funny, on the sort of miles they used to do, there's no way that people were getting the sort of performance that they used to have brand new. I just think if you want the true Mark 1 experience, you've got to have that rear suspension sorted. It is what makes a Mark 1 special, that control blade rear suspension. And when you start doing the bottom arms, you look at the banana arm and the radius arm, then the train arm bush is really important, and the anti-roll bar bushes, the anti-roll bar links, get quality ones, please. And once you've done all that and got it all tracked up with some decent tyres, you've got a Mark 1 that will handle like a Mark 1. The front suspension, generically, apart from the bottom arms, there's not a lot that goes wrong with them, and you can make one feel quite tight at the front, but with little work. Usually it's the anti-roll bar links and the bottom arms. They're the weak points. Mainly the ball joints at the bottom, but also the inner bushes tend to go as well. I've actually seen, there's another thing that's cropped up recently, and that is a few Focuses that have had their drive shafts pull out of their gearboxes. And every single time my answer is the same. Those bottom arms, you've got the outer ball joint and you've got the two inner bushes. And if those inner bushes are moving excessively, the arm is basically, the wheel will be moving out. It'll be pushing out under a certain load, and that is enough to slip a spline out of a gearbox. They're only splined in, don't pull out. If that wheel moves far enough. So just be aware about the bottom arms on the front suspension, because when the inner bushes tend to go, they tend to take the drive shafts out of the gearbox, and you can damage the seals in the gearbox, particularly the output shaft seals. Might not necessarily damage the drive shaft, but it's not very good for them, particularly the inner joints. They are not meant to, those inner joints can be, those inner joints are not as durable as the outer joints. They cannot be twisted by a certain angle. If they do, you need a new joint. They're never going to be the same. They'll start clicking. Problems, squeaky clutch pedal drives me mad. Have you tried the usual by oiling, lubricating it up with a bit of silicone spray? Because it can be the spring. It's usually that. Other than that, I'd say your clutch, I'd say your clutch master cylinder might be a bit funny, but I'd check your springs first. Throttle seems to stick after revving. Right, well, you need to clean your throttle body. That is 100% the little where the cable routes through into that into the actual spindle with the return spring. You need to take the throttle body off and clean it. 100%. Very rusty power steering pipes. The only ones that that's very strange, because usually they don't rust very, right. The only ones that are very rusty, that can get rusty, and they're slightly surface rusty on mine, and mine's decent, or 1.4 focus with non-air conditioning, like mine, you will have a big pipe, because the power steering pump will be mounted at the front, and you'll have a big pipe that runs all the way across the front of the engine, and then it goes over the gearbox and then turns into a compressed hose, flexible hose. That's one whole pipe assembly. Don't tell me how much they are. I've looked. They can get pretty rusty at the front because they're quite vulnerable. But I'm very surprised if it be anything else other than that. You wouldn't have that for yours. So I don't believe aftermarket ones are available, but I could be wrong. So somebody else might be able to add in there. But which pipes are we talking about? The guy from Ceta Alpha. I've never had a Mark 1. I'm sorry that we seem to have had a bit of a buffering going on. I never had a Mark 1 Focus. I had a Mark 2, however, and loved it. There are a lot of Mark 1 Focuses here in Missouri, all in good condition, but mostly automatics. Of course. As per the way. That's interesting. Graham Leslie, waiting on rocker cover. But hello, Graham. Sorry. I'm glad you can join the live stream. We need more likes, please. If you haven't liked, you need to like this. I need my likes to go up. It's helping me algorithms. Waiting on rocker cover box. Rocker box cover. Rocker box cover. That's a good sign. Rocker box cover. I like that. I'll call it a rocker box cover. I know what you mean. The gasket's gone then. 2 litre Zetec gear estate. We'll do it tomorrow if it arrives. Otherwise, 2 rainy days, and here Thursday, Friday. I know. We're going to get the rain very, very soon. Thank you for the likes, guys. Thank you for the likes. They're not as hard as doing it on the Sigma, put it that way. It's a bit of a faff on the 1.6 or 1.4. But no, they're easy enough. Just make sure that you manage to push the gasket all the way in. They're very easy to do. Stick, hello buddy. Late 2002, 1.6 rev jump Rev jumps 2,200 RPM. Timing advance is going crazy. Don't worry about the timing advancing. Don't worry about that. That's all done by the ECU. You don't need to worry about that. 292,000 kilometers. That's very good going. Yeah, you need to explain the rev jump up. When does it do that? Does it do it at idle? Or stopping at junctions, or just generic driving, or randomly? There's a few things it could be. If you have a maps airflow sensor, you need to clean it. I would definitely start there. Throttle body again, clean the throttle body, take it off, clean around the disc. But also it could be a breather that's decided to collapse. So you have a breather hose. If it's 1.6, it'll be the breather hose behind the inlet. So you've got the plastic sort of octopus inlet manifold. I call it an octopus because it looks like an octopus. In there's a pipe. There's a breather pipe that goes into a valve. Check that the pipe hasn't got any holes in it. Okay, because when you have a hole, you will have an air leak, and that will make the revs go up stupidly crazy all the time. Hello, Aztec. Hello. I'm glad you can join us. I hope you're okay, buddy. Can only say to 9. I'm okay. I'm glad you can join us, and I hope you're very good. I'm glad I got through to you before you can go, because I know that you're very busy, buddy. I'm doing absolutely fine. I've been a bit under the weather with a man flu and all that. I hope that you're okay. Bruno, it is a 1.4 ZTEC from 2000, and it is, I'm assuming, an LX because it only has air conditioning equipment. Yes, the LX would have air conditioning. It could be another spec, but depends on a number of things. If it's got trims on the wheels or not, alloys, that sort of thing. It will have trims. Being an LX from 2000, it will have trims. Just wheel covers. 1.4 is very rare on an LX. I will tell you, you're the second person who's said, I've got an LX with a 1.4. Usually it's a 1.6. Nothing wrong with the 1.4s. Aztec, I know from the underside Raptor is really good. Yeah, it's decent actually. It stops rust, keeps the car looking clean. I have looked at that. It's just, I think the Dynax suits my needs, but Raptor's certainly another product that I haven't looked at entirely. Under seal is a pain in the ass to remove, especially if you haven't got a jack to raise it up fully. Oh no. Under seal for me is, I've got cans of, I tell you what, the under seal that I've used, and I will recommend it, Silverhook under seal. And if you want something to protect your arches, if you've had your Mark 1 and your arch is welded, and you want to make sure it stays in the condition that it's been welded in, i.e. clean and free from rust, you need to obviously wire brush back, rust convert, bit of paint where it's needed, and then under seal, Silverhook under seal in the arches. You can do Dynax, but I would put under seal on the arches because it makes it a bit thicker, and then put Dynax or Lanagard over the under seal. That's the areas that I recommend on a Mark 1 Focus. 100%. Paul, my first car was a 1.4 ZTEC, lovely little car. There's nothing wrong with them, is there, Paul? I mean, what would you say about your experience? I don't necessarily think they're underpowered particularly. You have to use the gearbox a bit more effectively, but no. ZTEC may well be the spec, not sure on LX. It could be both. If it's a ZTEC, it may not have air conditioning and manual mirrors. Bruno Fix, yes, it is awesome. Still no serious problems. Great. Nowhere my car doesn't say anything about trim level. Oh, that's a shame. Well, you probably might have to describe a few bits of what you've got. Got a heated screen? That might be well, to be fair, heated screen was an option on a lot of trim levels. Paul, if it has standard wheels, you might not be able to tell. It has steel 14 inches. It's an LX. It's an LX. Yeah, because you had alloys on the ZTECs as standard. Excuse me. I am trying to get through the comments, and I've seen so many, so I'm so sorry if people have switched off by the time I get to them. Um, Aztec, my brother waxed his car and he said it is still on the road after a year, I think. Oh, I'm glad it's still on the road. The wax is obviously worse. It hasn't disintegrated in 12 months. Hint of sarcasm. And take it in a good way, believe you me. Come back in a few years' time, and that's a really good thing. Paul, Z-Tech had 15-inch alloys, 14-inch steels, could well be a CL. Could be a CL, it could be, but it could be an LX as well. But CLs are actually more common in Europe, so it might explain that. Nick, thank you for that, buddy. So the undersealed Jazabella, would you use Dynax? Jazabella, yeah, I would use Dynax, but there's going to be an awful lot of revealing that we might have to do, Nick, to do that. But it definitely needed. You got a new exhaust on it as well. You can put Dynax on the exhaust and keep that exhaust looking like a new exhaust. Paul, but trims may be different in Croatia. Could be. I'm not as familiar for trims in Europe. There have been variations, but they generically stick to what you would normally get in, let's say, the UK, or what we're used to in the UK. Nick, her MOT is due December. I won't worry too much about sticking things on because the MOT is due. Just don't drive the car in salt. Honestly, please don't drive the car in salt. If you can avoid it. Definitely don't drive the diesel at all, because the diesel's even better. You've got Bruno, true, but it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. Excuse me. Adam, mine didn't come with service history and I bought it, so I didn't know if my Mark 1 had important bits changed, so had the timing belt and full service done back in April. That is Adam, that is a good example of a way of dealing with that. Do not trust. If you've got nothing to go on, do not assume, oh yeah, that belt looks okay. Just assume that it's too old and it needs changing, especially the water pump as well. Just change it all. It's peace of mind, isn't it? And that's the way to go. And just give it a basic service so you know that what you've got is it's been serviced in a basic manner. And that's the first thing I always do with every car, basic service. And what astounds me is that I have surprised friends, ex-partners, whenever they've bought a car and I service it for that first time, and they're like, what have you done? My car is literally like a Formula 1 car compared with what it is. I'm like, I've only changed a few things. I've just changed the plugs and done the air filter and changed the oil. I'm not a genius. You know, I'm just amazed that people seriously are disconnected from how cars work. It just boggles me. Everybody should learn to do basic stuff. Really, honestly. The strangest thing is, I know that this is Ford based, but the easiest car to change an air filter on is a Rover 45 with the Rover KV6 engine, because it's literally an air filter that sits right on the scuttle, and you just lift it out. You've got the ducting and it sits in the ducting. You just literally lift it out and you take it off the plastic. You put the new air filter, put it on the plastic and just shove it in. It takes 30 seconds, probably not even that, to change an air filter. And yet there are people who don't do it. Paul, tip for anyone with an older car with an MOT in December: bite the bullet and get it done again in the summer and move that pound away from Christmas. That's good advice, that is. Considering that Ruby will be due for an MOT before Christmas. Very much so. So I think I might have to get it shifted. You can take your MOT, guys. You can break the MOT cycle. You don't have to wait for 12 months. You can take it for another MOT again within 6 months and break that cycle. If you want to keep the car long term and you want to take Paul's advice, please do so. That's good advice, because you do not want a car with a failed MOT and a 200, 300, 400 quid bill around Christmas. You don't want that. Okay, it's no time is a good time to have that bill slapped on you, but still, think about it. Sudaflex is the best stuff for those seam sealer failures. It's polyurethane. I think it's rather than silk. Yes, I have actually heard of that, Paul. That's a very good shout. Sudaflex is something that I've been aware about, and now I have considered ripping some of the. To be fair, the silicone has done a good job, but what you've suggested is a much better idea. And I have been in mind to start doing a few things to the Focus in terms of ripping a few bits of silicone off and replacing it with better stuff. There's the one you've mentioned, and then there's another one. There's a one that Ford use as well. There's a one that Rover use as well, which is quite decent. And I've got to go over Beatrix with the seam sealer, the proper stuff. Does Costco do the cheapest fuel? Yes, but don't go there. If you want the cheapest fuel, you get the cheapest fuel economy and the cheapest performance as well. You get what you pay for with fuel. Puma Guy, hello. Good evening. I'm glad you could join us. New to the channel, new face. Evening. Out of interest, what did the respray cost on the Mark 1? The recent work, or the work in total, the truth is bodywork varies depending on what needs to be done and the hours. It's one of them things you can't really put your answer to. So if you're interested because you might be considering it, don't go on this, but I'm about £2,200 into the paint. All I have to do is the front bumper, of which I've got a new old stock one, thanks to my friend Adam. Thank you very much, Adam, for that. I have a rear bumper in cracking condition, thanks to Dave. Shout out to you, sir. And they are ready to go on the car. I need to get a stone deflector. I just realised stone deflectors, they're £85, reduced to 70 recently. I've got to get in there before it goes back up to 85. It's expensive, but the stone deflectors cannot be reshaped, and the one on the Focus is rubbish. And then the roof, that's it. The roof can keep for a couple more years, because a roof's a roof, and it polishes up okay-ish, with a few lines here and there, and a few chips as well. But the front and rear bumpers will be done. I'm hoping I can just literally take them to the body shop and I don't have to deal with the dust. But I'm 2,200 in. That is metal on both ends of the rear, both ends of the sills towards the rear arches. Okay, that is having the arch lips tidied up. Luckily, no new metal was needed. They were okay. Dents removed, sills pulled out. There was some dents in both sills. There was a hole in the middle of the driver's sill had a hole. It was ridiculous. I didn't covered up, filled. Somebody'd filled that before. I'm really curious to know how there was a hole there when the rest of it was absolutely fine. So I reckon it was previously dented. That's what my body man reckoned. New wings at the front, and resprayed all down the sides. And the reason it's cost more than I thought is because my car had a severe accident and it had an entire quarter of the car replaced from Ford. A brand new rear quarter panel was put in when the car was roughly 5-6 years old, at a guess, and that is a good guess based on the stickers I found, suggesting that there was a brand new quarter panel from 2007 put on there. So the car was 5 years old when it had this work. Unbelievable. But unfortunately the paint they put on it was so bad they had to go to bare metal on. They had to do bare metal for most of the car. I'm pleased. I'm pleased. The sills have both been done in better. They went back to bare metal on both sills, and I'm really pleased about that, because when you go back to bare metal, you are removing any impediments. Okay, the factory primer is probably very good when it's very good, but you are removing all the imperfections and replacing it with hopefully really good quality stuff. And I paid my bodyman for a quality job. So if you want a quality job, you are looking at probably £3,500 for a complete respray on a Mk1. Every panel, everything, 3,500 with new metal. So that is the ballpark figure, and there is no way that most people can justify that, and I can understand that. Mk1 Ford nut, got my rear subframe fitted today, new bits to button up, then I'll be driving the black Focus. Yes, nice. You must be really pleased about that rear subframe. They look nice. I just hope that the powder coating is good enough on them. We shall soon see how good they are in a few years' time, because these new subframes have only been available to buy for the last year. Matthew, I think it's the tailgate issue. The boot seems to catch when I open it. Move the catch. I would have a look at the bolts to secure the tailgate to make sure there's no water going through those two top bolts. But have a play around with the hinge, because the catches can move. That catch down on the panel, on the slam panel, just have a fiddle with that catch and move it round a bit. What I generically do is I tend to slacken it off, shut the boot, and then open it up. Because what happens then is it actually moves the latch into a good position. Top tip. No problem, Matthew. No problem. I'm glad to give advice, and I hope it helps. Red X Works and Cataclean. Cataclean's the same. Yeah, same, Graham. Well done. That's a good shout. Paul, Red X for you. Cheers. I'm not going to drink it. This is my drink. Alex, hi, buddy. The best catalytic converter for 1.6 Mk1, Ford. Genuine Ford, and they'll steal you for every penny you've got, probably about £500. But nobody buys that, do they? We want to get the best cat for. If I was buying a new cat now, I would go with Clarius, because I'm pretty damn certain they're quite decent for what they are. I wouldn't worry too much about. I mean, your Focus, it will be more seldomly used. I know you're using it more now, but most aftermarket cats tend to last about 15,000 miles and then the precious metals tend to wear out because there's not much of them. That's why cats are so cheap aftermarket. Excuse me. I would definitely recommend Clarius. I've had good feedback off them. Ricola, I probably pronounced that wrong. Hello and welcome to the channel, sir. Does anybody know if Ford Focus Mark II estate rear suspension and subframes are interchangeable with a Mark I estate? Good question. I can't answer that one. All I can say is that the standard suspension does swap straight off. So the rear suspension could be the same. Don't know if Mark IIs have got a self-leveler, because I know the Mark Is have got something similar, but I'm not sure about that one. Mark I for nut. The estate ones are the same, just the arms are different. Thank you. There we go. Aztec, hope you get better soon. You take care, buddy. Hope to speak to you soon. Cheers, pal. Paddy, hello, sir. Welcome to the channel. And sorry, I've had to go down again. My messages keep moving. I've got a Mark I 51 plate 1.6 Focus. Had it 14 years. When I had a part replaced a couple of years ago in my engine, the mechanic told me my car was built in France because the part he replaced. I don't think that's right. They were never built in France. They were built in Germany and Spain. Nah, don't ignore that one. Wasn't in the location where he thought it was on the other models. Oil filter should be at the front on a 1.6, the front on the left hand side. Nah. No, I don't know what he was talking about there, to be honest. Alison, my 2 litre drives very well. We only paid 300 for it as the water pump was going. Oh, that's really good. I tell you what, usually people get rid of cars when they're like hemorrhaging water or oil. Oh yes. Strangely, I encountered a problem on a 1.6 Sigma. A very, very rare problem. I've never seen it before. And I actually helped somebody to buy this particular Focus for absolutely nothing because I was just helping someone buy. This was 6 years ago, mind you, and I still knew a little bit about them. I didn't know too much about them at this stage, but there was a serious issue with the breather. The breather valve had actually blocked completely. I knew what it was because the owner complained about oil coming out of. He said that the engine was leaking oil out of every single gasket, and it was also coming out of the dipstick. Started the car on the test on the viewing, and oil was spewing out of the dipstick. Like, what the heck is going on here? Turns out, I looked at it. I thought it's a breathing issue. The valve, that PCV valve, was utterly blocked with coke. I mean, you couldn't breathe through it. It was literally good. I don't know what it was. These engines do not coke up at all, and yet it was blocked. I don't know what had gone on with this engine. I don't think the engine oil had been changed. I believe it has been scrapped, this car, but it was just a banger car. But we bought it for 200 quid because of this issue. We said, I think it needs a new engine. We took it off him and we took it as a gamble. Changed the breather valve and it stopped all the leaks. I mean, it was a bit of a mess, mind you, but sort of things that people throw away because they think it's irreparable. Aztec, I'm sure my dad put underseal on the hole underneath of his Mark 1 and it was awful getting it off for the rest and putting wrapped on it, considering he hardly drives on it, it holds up well. I would imagine. I did exactly the same thing, trying to get all the wax oil off when I decided, you know what, I'm going to go for Dynax. I've had enough of this. Stick, I almost had everything done. It's a manual. The revs jump while slowly increasing the throttle. Oh yeah, thanks for sending me the email. I'll have a look at it. So it's slowly increasing the throttle. Okay, that's a few things. I would definitely still clean the throttle body. I would clean either the map sensor or MAF sensor, whichever one you've got, whether you've got both, which is very rare. The throttle position sensor can give problems, but unless you've got a code, it might not be. But I'd definitely do those things first. Paul, nice everyone. I'm on the 5:54 train in the morning. You take care, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us. I think you've left already, but please, if you see this, thank you for joining. Great suggestions, especially on the seam sealer. That's another name for me to actually have a look. Milan, hello. How are you, sir? I'm glad you can join us. Focus Mark 1 1.8 build turbo. Big Gaz. Hi, mate. It's Gary. Spoke to you this morning. Hi, Gaz. How are you, buddy? Nice to speak to you this morning. I'm glad I've caught your interest with the Fiesta as well. Bit of a nostalgia trip. And as per my conversation, I will share this with all of you because I like to, I think with cars, it's a very sensual experience, particularly classic cars. And I always make comments that wherever I go to shows, have to smell the inside of a car. It will smell just gorgeous. It is a smell of that time. Every Mark 1 Focus smells the same. Every single one. And it is depictant of a car from the late 90s, early millennium. It just smells like that, the plastics and everything. And the smell that comes out the heaters of Project Ruby, well, the blower fan, not the heater, well, the blower fan, I should say, through the vents. The smell is, I was literally, yesterday, I was 5 years old again in my uncle's Ford Sierra. I think it was the Cosworth. I can't be sure about that. If I find that photo, I will show you. But the only photo I have, I can tell you, it had leather seats. It was quick. It had a spoiler on the back. It may have been a replica because I know my uncle liked to dab a little bit and get his hands dirty. I don't know my uncle anymore. Unfortunately, he and my auntie have gone separate ways. But I have a photo and I will share it with you. Quite embarrassing for me because I was 5 years old, and there's a photo of me at the zoo, parked up, lying on a bit of grass, and all you can see on my uncle's Sierra was the back end of the car with the spoiler. That's it. I'll show you that photo. It'd be hilarious to show you. And the smell of that interior was what I smelt yesterday. I hadn't smelt that in 25 years. And I was there just doing this. Literally like somebody having a cocaine fix on the toilet, but me in the vents smelling fresh air. Well, not fresh air, but just beautiful 80s Ford. And tried to describe that to you earlier, Gary. It's just so invigorating, and that's what I love about old cars. The smell is ridiculous. As I say, I don't have a massive family connection with Ford at this time, but my uncle did have a Sierra, and the smell was that beautiful. All I need now is to go and stick my nose in a Maestro, because then that's my granddad's, my very young childhood. Indeed, I definitely need to start smelling a Maestro air vents. That'll be the next one. It's always the air vents. It's the air that comes with the vents. Beatrix, it smells like an old Rover. It just smells fantastic. Every time I turn the heating on, it's just a brilliant experience. Don't forget your air freshener. Don't bother about air fresheners. Just stick the heating on and you get this lovely smell. I love it. Possible or not? It's possible to put a turbo on a 1.8. It depends what you're looking to get, Milan. Mk1, I'm building a turbo 2-litre engine for my red car. You can put a turbo on them because the 2-litre in the RS is a turbocharged, Garrett turbocharger. Get one of them. Yeah, get one of them. What did you change on the engine? Okay. So Marks, I have RS pistons and rods to fit to the ST170 bottom end. Yes. The RS engine has forged bottom ends, plus the valve springs and the standard black top head. Good. Sorry, Benjamin. Evening. Not built yet. Hopefully 250 to 300 with standard RS turbo. That's not too bad actually. Shazab, hello. Best colour type of coolant. Red, please. Red OAT is required. Any red OAT, whether it's get ready mixed, can't go wrong with that. Yeah, for the 1.8 petrol engine, every single Focus Mark 1 should use red OAT, ready mixed. I use manual. Have I got it somewhere? No, I haven't. Best Mark 1 Focus colours. Green, black, silver, RS blue are my favourites. I'm biased when I say Panther black, but it's only good when it's been totally resprayed for about half an hour after the respray, and then after that you start seeing swirl marks. I'm really annoyed. I'm already starting to see swirl marks on the bonnet. It's just impossible. No matter how careful you are in cleaning Panther black, you're just going to do it. It's just such a shocking colour for that. If you want pure joy but pure frustration at the same time, Panther black. Apart from that, there were a few good colours. I just like Aquafrost. That's a lovely colour. Unbelievable colour. How often would you recommend changing the coolant? 4 years. OA2 coolant usually lasts about 5 years. Change it 4. I've done 2 now. In the coolant that is in my Focus has done 2 years. I may change it next year, because I might have a couple of hoses to change, because I am still on all the original hoses on my car, and I'm very well aware, as high quality as they are, they can crack and they can leak. I'm going to change a couple of the hoses, probably the top and bottom radiator ones, and that's it. The heater ones are fine, and the inlet bypass is absolutely fine. It is literally just the top and bottom heater hoses, and that will be done at the next coolant change. Top tips for getting the new car smell back. Yeah, I'll tell you how you do that. You literally scrub everything to death, because a Mark 1, every Mark 1 Focus will smell the same, but you need to clean. If you've had a smoker in the car, that will linger. You need to clean the plastics, scrub the carpets down, get the seats out off the car, take them off to clean, and clean underneath the carpets with the seats off the car. Get underneath the back slabs, lift them up, clean everywhere, and you'll get it back very soon. Because what will happen is your car will smell of cleaning products for a short time, and then they wear off very quickly, and then you'll start to smell the car as it should be. Paul, hello buddy. Hello sir. Recently inherited a year 2000 Mark 1 1.6 gear. Annoying even tick over, and stalls at junctions in the first 5 minutes of driving. Any advice? Yeah, change your engine coolant thermostat. On the 1.6, between number 2 and 3 spark plug, you'll get some wiring. That is the wiring to the sensor that sits down there. You'll need to take the HT lead off number 3, and then you'll see a plug. You'll get the plug, pull the plug off the sensor and pull the wiring out. Okay? I think it's a 21mm socket. Get a 21mm deep mill socket and untwist the sensor. Take it out, put a new one in. It's a coolant. It's not a coolant. It's an engine temperature sensor. If they go wrong, it will tell the ECU all the wrong information about how warm the car is, and it does sound like it's a warming up issue for me. I think it's quite a cheap fix. I think for 10-15 quid, it's worth changing. I'd change it anyway as a matter of course, but in this case, uneven tick over and stalling at junctions, I would definitely have a look at it. But I presume when it warms up, it stops doing that. That is a temperature issue. So I would look at the temperature sensor, because if that temperature sensor is not giving the ECU the correct information, regardless of what the gauge does, the gauge is controlled by the ECU. The sensor does not control the gauge, the ECU does. The coolant temperature sensor, if that goes wrong, the ECU has not got the correct information about the temperature of the engine, and therefore it will not fuel the car correctly, and therefore you're going to get this issue. Paddy, okay, thanks for the play. Zetec engines were the best for the Focus. Is that true, and based on what? What engines did they put in after they changed them? Well, they had the Zetec engine, which was the 1.82 litre, and then you had the 1.4, 1.6 Sigma engine. Both are great engines. The Zetec engine stopped in 2004 and was effectively replaced by the Duratec engine, which is a Mazda L series engine. That is the next engine they used in the Mark II Focus and the Mark III Mondeo. Okay, that is a cracking engine, has its own set of issues, but decent engine by Mazda. And Mazda and Ford were very close back then. The Sigma went on to 2018, and it was only really properly replaced by the EcoBoost engine. And I know which engine I prefer. Shazab, is it focuses or foci? Either one, it doesn't matter to me. Either one. When referring to multiple Mark 1 models in your view, I call it. If it's multiple models, I'll say foci. I've said that a few times actually, strangely, but it's their own. I just casually mentioned it. Big Gas, try drying your car with a leaf blower instead of a microfiber leather. That's an interesting suggestion. That I've actually got a cordless leaf blower. Strangely enough, it's rubbish. It's dreadful. I might try doing that. Thank you for telling me that. That might be a good tip for the bonnet at this stage. This is why I haven't done the roof, because the bonnet, there's only minor areas. I'm being really picky, but I'm noticing things. That's a good bit of advice, and I will probably get my old leaf blower out. It's only a tiny little stupid one. Nick, how often do the clutches last on a Mark 1 1.8 TDCi? How long's on a piece of string, Nick? It depends how well it's been driven. I'm not being funny. I've known people to knacker clutches out in 10,000 miles if they keep slipping the clutch and riding it. You know what I mean? Depends on the driver. If they're a really good, competent driver with a manual gearbox and they're not riding the clutch, 300,000 miles, and I've known Focuses to do 300,000 miles, motorway miles, and they've still got some decent bite on the clutch. So that's really as far as I go. Blimey, I've got to the end of the comments, an hour and a half. Fantastic. I mean, to be fair, there's less people than last week. I think I had a bit of a boost last week, and now people thought, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going elsewhere. Cheers, buddy. I really appreciate that, Gaz. It's a good idea. It's air drying, isn't it? Thank you for answering. How often would you recommend changing the brake fluid? Should I use .4? Don't use .5.1. It's a waste of time. The only cars that use .5.1 are rally cars. Don't use it. .4. .4 for road cars. And you get no advantages at all with .5.1. It's not suitable either. It is synthetic based, and yes, it has a different boiling point. .4 has a lower boiling point, so it means it can boil quite easily, more easier than 5.1. But changing brake fluid should be done every couple of years, probably 3 years, I would say, depending on your usage. The main reason for changing your brake fluid is, okay, you will get air, but it's because brake fluid is hygroscopic. It absorbs water. And just because, even though your cap is on the brake fluid reservoir, the clutch brake fluid reservoir, just because the cap's on doesn't mean air isn't getting at the brake fluid, and it will absorb a certain amount of moisture, and you will notice it after a period of time. So you just need to change it. I'll probably have to change the brake fluid in my Focus again, probably in October sort of time. But I mean, I've left brake fluid for a few years and with no damage. I think it's only when you leave brake fluid for many, 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 many years and you've got dreadful amounts of moisture in the system where the brakes become less effective, and more importantly, they start rotting your brake pipes from the inside out. I wonder how many cars have had rotten brake pipes caused by not even having one brake fluid change in 10 years, let's say. But let's face it, these cars are now at an age where we're constantly doing something on the brakes. So we need a wheel cylinder, a brake caliper, a brake hose or a couple of brake hoses, or some new copper lines. So we're always changing bits of our braking system and disturbing our lines. So we are naturally changing our fluid as we're doing these jobs. So for me, even though I've done all the brakes on my Focus, I'd probably just wait to the next issue. Realistically, or something I spot, and then I'll change the fluid again. You know what I mean? It's like that. If you want another tip and you've done some pennies, get a pet dryer off Amazon. Oh, I might try that. 45 quid and blows hot and cold. Well, I do. As I say, I do have an old leaf blower, but it's a plug-in one. I need something that's cordless so I can just take it down to lock up. Actually, I might find if Draper D20, because I've got the batteries, I've got the tool set for Draper D20 stuff. They have got a cordless leaf blower. Might see how cheap I can get it. Or I've got some fake Makita batteries, the fake ones you get on eBay, not the proper ones. So I might get a fake Makita leaf blower, just a cheap one, just to, air dry it. I wonder how crap it is. That'll be a good video. I think leaf blowers are so... I just see someone blowing leaves off his driveway using a leaf blower, and I just think, have you got nothing better to do than do that? Is your life so not busy that you've got time to blow leaves across your driveway, and then half a day later you've still got leaves on your driveway because it's the autumn and it's blowing it back? I live on a driveway where you sweep it up and then you wake up another morning and there's leaves everywhere. You've seen all my videos with the Focus, the Rover and Ruby so far. There's leaves everywhere. There's no point. I live under trees. If I just sweep it away, just leave it. Shazam, differences in spec between the Z-Tech and Gear Trim. Oh, just saying, guys. I have got a monetary button on this live stream, so you can send me some money. I'm only kidding. I'm only highlighting that for anybody who doesn't know that that is there. That if anybody was thinking of sending me money, it is there. That is not a hint, by the way. It's not a subtle hint like I want some money, but you don't have to. It's not a subtle hint, but it's just there if you haven't discovered it, because this is a new thing on YouTube that you can send money on a live stream. But I don't ask for money. I'm getting a decent... I mean, to be fair, I've discovered that YouTube is quite decent for income, strangely enough. And it makes me think what these big YouTubers are earning. And these are the same YouTubers that do big borrow. Oh, can you send me some money and support the channel with my Patreons and sponsorships, because I need to keep my shit boxes on the road and pay for all this work. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. I don't ask anybody else to pay for my hobby. I choose to buy my cars and I pay for all my stuff. My tools are my own. My cars are my own. I don't, you know, it's purely if somebody wants to send me anything. And I'm very appreciative. There's a lovely lady who sent me £30 on PayPal because she discovered that's my PayPal email for my, not my channel stickers. It's my Focus Mark 1 Preservation Group stickers through the group for the UK. Only the UK at the moment. And she discovered my PayPal and she sent me £30. And I've still not decided what to use that £30 for. I might put it towards something camera-wise. But I've got it. I keep banging on about getting a GoPro, but I can't. I just end up spending money on the cars, not camera equipment. I know someone who's actually spent about £400 in camera equipment and microphones to start a YouTube channel. And after about 4 months, he had a burnout, and all this money, he wasted all this money. I just think, you put all that pressure on yourself. Just tripod, smartphone, start from there. It's the content. People are not bothered about the fact that my videos are slightly blurry. I would recommend, if you're watching my videos, don't watch it. If you've got a 50-inch TV, don't watch it on your 50-inch TV. If you've got a 40-inch TV, my videos will be fine. But if my videos can't stretch that far because it's done off my smartphone. So I find that watching it on your phone or watching it on a laptop, the size of my laptop. I mean, look at this fella, you know, come on. This is my screen and these are the lovely comments that are coming down. This is my my control center. So be good, because I'll delete your comments if you're naughty. Shazab, parts of the Focus that are still good idea. Oh, sorry, Matthew. It blows my mind how fast some people go through clutches. My car here in the US is still on the original clutch at almost 350,000 miles. I guess I drive like an old person. That is absolutely true. You probably drive very well. Your clutch control is obviously very good, and you're very mechanically sympathetic is the word, Matthew. So that's a really good example you've just given. That. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. Excuse me. Shazad, parts for the Focus that are still a good idea to buy from Ford as opposed to a motor factor. I didn't get that. You mean what parts are still a good idea? Look, there's a lot of things that you could get from Ford that I think are just ridiculously overpriced for what they are. Engine mountings, 200 quid a pop. Don't bother, just get aftermarket. I think I should do a video on that, about parts and what I think, yeah, you should go to Ford for this and you should go aftermarket for this. I'll tell you what, I'll do a quick one for you. Springs, aftermarket, not Ford, aftermarket. Subframes, aftermarket. Engine mountings, aftermarket. Timing belts, aftermarket. Because the genuine timing belts, how old are they? How many years have those timing belts been sitting in the boxes? I don't like that. Get new. Get Gates timing belts, but don't get Gates water pumps. Get a genuine water pump. Aftermarket timing belt from Gates, genuine water pump from Ford, because the genuine water pumps last, the aftermarket ones don't. Try and stump up. They're about 90 to 100 quid ish. Service kits, aftermarket. Air filters, aftermarket. Pollen filters, aftermarket. Bottom arms, decent aftermarket, Lem Forder. Drop links, Lem Forder. Front drop links, aftermarket. They make them for Ford, Lem Forder. Trying to think now, actually. It's a good point. Because I can do it off by heart. Exhaust, aftermarket. Can't get a lot of genuine stuff now. The Cats, aftermarket. Clarius exhaust. Depends what you can get. Euroflow is a bit. I think Clarius is better than Euroflow. Heat shields, can't get. There's some things you can't get in aftermarket. Heat shields, gotta go genuine. Power steering pipes, gotta go genuine. Radiators, you can go aftermarket, but you can also go genuine. Go aftermarket for the cost. Coolant bottles, you can do either, but aftermarket seems to be decent. Hoses, get genuine hoses if you can get the parts numbers and find decently cheap ones on eBay, because they do come up where people have bought these parts and then they're throwing them on. They're throwing them up for decent money, cheaper than Ford. So hoses in the engine bay, bottom, top. I'll be doing this. I'll try and get some genuine heater hoses or radiator hoses. If I can't, aftermarket. I know that they probably won't last as long as the originals, but that's okay, because I'll probably just change them again every time I do a coolant change. I don't mind that. Power steering pumps, you have to go genuine. You can go aftermarket though, and the aftermarket ones have been known to be good, but either way. Air conditioning compressors, genuine. Can't go aftermarket, genuine. Trying to think now, this is quite interesting. It's quite a few. Most interior bits you have to go genuine, obviously, because you can't get all this stuff aftermarket. Depends if there's a market for them. Obviously, brake drums, aftermarket, with the bearings inside, aftermarket. Wheel cylinders, aftermarket. Brake calipers, aftermarket. Discs, aftermarket. Brake hoses, aftermarket. You know what I mean? Shock absorbers, genuine. Front shock absorbers and rear shock absorbers, genuine if you can get them. If you can't, aftermarket's okay. Get front genuine shock absorbers if you can. And what else? I'm trying to think now. Rear arms, the lower rear arms, you can go either way. Lem Forder, aftermarket is what I would go for. The banana arms and the control arms, aftermarket. Train arm bushes, genuine, not aftermarket. Okay, genuine train arm bushes, aftermarket. Everything else, if you can, decent. Bolts, the bolts, genuine Ford, please, not aftermarket, because they snap. Brake shoes, aftermarket. I'm running out of ideas here. If you want me to tell you a specific answer to half of this, window regulators, aftermarket, although they're not quite as good as the originals. If you can get an original at the right price, but otherwise, aftermarket. I'm sounding like an idiot when I go through this list, but there is a method to my madness of directing people. Front wings, aftermarket, made in Taiwan. I've got aftermarket ones, 50 quid a corner, 50 quid a side. Not Lion batteries, Nick. Not Lion batteries. Batteries, obviously not Lion batteries. Although the joke is the Lion battery on Ruby, actually, I've brought it back from the dead. That's a good battery, that is. So I might not have to stump up for another battery. So I might actually join the Lion Battery Club. Woohoo! Their biggest enemy is now a fan of now in the club. I bet that battery's going to let me down at some point, so I'm not going to rely on it. If there's anything you want me to add, as I say, aftermarket or genuine, I can do a list of many things, but some things you can't get genuine. Aftermarket front heated windscreens are good though, but they are a bit thinner in the elements, but they're still good. Tensioners, yeah, tensioners. They come with a timing belt. Don't worry about that. Aftermarket. That'll work. They do a small version on Amazon. Oh, thank you very much, Big Gaz. Just wait till your neighbours see you drying your car with a leaf blower. I'm air drying it off. It's a good way of doing it, though. And to be fair, this is a problem. When you wax your car, what happens? Your water beads. Every time it rains, all my neighbours' cars, they're dried off because their car assimilates the water. Whereas my car deflects it off. But that means there's a load of water that sits where it is in beading. So it doesn't dry, it just sits as beads. So I need the blower to just blow it off. Absolutely crazy. Brake discs and pads, aftermarket. Yeah, Pigeon discs from Alfred's. Don't buy from Alfred's, they're expensive. Cheaper than Euros. Oh, well, that's interesting. Matthew, I just imported a set of UK hatchback tail lights with the amber turn indicator signals. I prefer them over the US with the clear reverse light. That's quite interesting, actually, how you say that, because actually a lot of people in the UK and Europe want the US ones. How interesting that we want something that we don't have. That is really interesting, Matthew, you're saying that, because I went for the US style rear light clusters on mine ages ago. It's an aftermarket accessory. Because I wanted the American look, a sort of more modern look, instead of the orange turn indicators. But that's really interesting that you say that. I'm glad that you feel like you like what we've got and we like what you've got. Although I don't like the bumpers. I think we can all conclude that the CVTs, they just don't. That the SVTs, sorry, I've got CVT on the brain. SVTs. With the huge wacky bumpers. Do you want some bumpers as well from Europe? Just saying. Scuttle panels. You can't get them aftermarket. You have to go genuine. If you can find one, not on an ST170. I personally don't mind the UK rear light clusters. I must be in a minority in the UK. No, I mean, I like the clusters. It's just, I think a lot of people have preferred to go for the American ones generically, but I prefer the originals now. What I can't stand, and I think we can all agree, is the Lexus rear lights on a Focus Mark 1. Cue the soundtrack of disappointment. I should probably put something on the TV to... Oh. No. You can't do that. You can't put them on a Focus Mark 1. It's not a Lexus. I just don't know what you're. I don't know what you're thinking of achieving. I just don't. I don't know why people do it. But still, there are just sort of total idiots. Always. What the hell? Sorry. What the hell? My sound effects came into. Keep getting reminders for car insurance, and the car insurance is going through the roof. Is it? Most people having issues with car insurance these days. I keep getting the blimmin' emails. We've reached the end of the chat, and I might just cut this short in about 10 minutes. I did say I'd go up to 10 o'clock, so we've got 12 minutes. Get your answers in. Big Gaz, tensioner don't come with a belt on. Tensioner doesn't come with a belt on the ST170. It should do. Should do. Tensioner and belt. Should do. Yeah, as far as max power era, that. Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. It's it does represent an era, but it's an era that I really don't want to fondly remember, to be honest, because it's a bit. I deleted all the amber on my car, and the black one has all black indicators. Oh, is it the Audi ones by any chance? The ones that go side like LEDs? It is a common thing to do it all white, so the orange repeaters on the wings, just swap them for white ones because they were fitted to the Mark III Mondeo as standard. So quite appropriate. Best way to change the front disc and pads. Best way to change the front disc and pads. Put it simply, yeah, don't do it, Nick. That's the best way for you to change your disc and pads. Get a mechanic to do it. I've seen you work. I'm only joking. It's easy. It's so easy. There's not even grub screws to deal with. The disc will just come off as soon as you take the caliper away. You just take the two. You just get a hex 7. Break the slider pins off. Just back it off. Wind the bolts out. Take the caliper out. Back pad off. Front pad, just take the pin off, and the pad will just come straight out, and then the disc will just fall off. You might need to get a hammer, or it should fall off. Just get a hammer and it will bang straight off. Clean the face, slap the new disc on, and then just put the new caliper on with the pads installed. You have to put the pin, the clip in last of all. It's a dreadful description. I'll probably do it at some point. I'll do it. What I've done on route, not being funny, I'm doing a brake job on Ruby very soon. I've already disassembled the brakes. It's the same as the Focus Mk1. So the next the next Ruby video may be me sorting the brakes out. It might be 1 or 2, because I know there's one that's gone out today. But it's the same procedure on a Mk1. Exactly the same. I've not had any problems. Oh, sorry. Are people on YouTube generally nice? Yeah, they're very nice. YouTubers, you mean? Hey, yeah, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. I've not really had an issue. People are generally nice. But what you have to understand is that not all YouTubers are here to help people. I'm just in this to grow a community and to express my knowledge and share it. And knowledge is power. But I'm not here commercially, and other YouTubers are here on a commercial basis that they aim to make a living out of it. So their decisions are based on not necessarily helping people, but what videos work and doing more of them, because that maximizes income. And therefore you lose the element of helping people, because it just becomes about the next trend. And I don't do trends. I hate YouTube shorts. And that's why I don't do them very often. I only do them to grab people into my channel who've somehow not found me, because there are many channels out there now. Although I think YouTube is dying. I've got a feeling that this YouTube car community craze that's gone on, with usual names, Furious Driving, Hubnut, that have been driving it all the years they've been doing it, and they're the ones I watched originally. There's many others now, but they're the main ones that have driven it through the pandemic. And I believe now, 3 years down the line, people have got bored of YouTube. I still think there's a root in it, but I think in terms of an income, you can't do it. You need to think, what are you effectively using it for? I do think people are getting bored of it. And I think people are turning back to terrestrial TV, believe it or not, normal TV. Or what is normal TV these days? I'm here again to say hello, buddy. How are you? Not too bad. No kits for our cars. Adam, I've not had problems to diagnose, but interested in listening and picking up hints. Perfect. I'm glad. Particularly on the rust proofing side of things. That's probably the most important thing on a Mark 1 now, rust protection and what you're doing about it, because it doesn't matter. Mark 1s have a little bit of a mechanical malady here and there, but generically they never go wrong. It's what is the bodywork like, because that's a be and end all in terms of buying one and keeping one. And if you've got a good one, what do you aim to do to keep it like that? And I've given a few ideas for you to have a little bit of a think about. Thanks for the top tips on the aftermarket versus Ford parts. No problem. If you've got a part and you're not sure which one to go for, drop it in. You've got 9 minutes. Go. Matthew, one item that is highly sought after over here is the passenger side dashboard airbag delete that you get in the UK. Oh yes, we only got them on the really early ones, and it's a very interesting feature, weird feature, but absolutely, I can understand that. Yeah, I can understand that. Buy it all separate. Yes, I would as well. Because Shaz, Bosch for Vart or Exide recommended for the Mark 1 Focus. Don't go right. Believe it or not, Varta is the manufacturer of Halford's batteries, and I am told that by someone who works at Halford. And I consider Halford's batteries to be really good, because the one on my Focus is 6 years old now, and it's still good. Well, it's not on the Focus, it's down here on the floor, because I've taken it off, haven't I, and I've put it in my flat. It's a really good battery, this is. Exide is another good one. I would say in terms of batteries, there's 3, 2 and 1. Number 3, Halfords, but they're expensive. I wouldn't necessarily go for them, because the top 2 you can get for less online, and that's Exide. I've had them before. Great batteries. Yuasa is top of the tree. Go to Tanya Batteries. If you're in the UK, there's a company called Tanya Batteries. Brilliant. Order it and it'll be delivered online. Yuasa is the best one. I've fitted one to Beatrix. I'll be fitting one to the Focus whenever the Halfords one goes. The line battery for the Fiesta might work at the moment, but if I have problems or I feel that it's not quite enough in terms of capacity, although there's not much electrics, I will go Yuasa. I've been paying insurance for 2 cars I can't drive through a breakdown, and one has no MOT, but now they both have no MOT. That's a pain in the ass. I know how you mean. I'm actually considering the problem. There is a current problem with Mark 1s now, as most of them are over 20 years old, and that is you need to check your breakdown cover through your insurance. Most of us either have if you're with the AA breakdown, if you've got AA breakdown cover, you're paying through the nose anyway, but there's a reason you are. The AA will cover whatever age of car, and the RAC are the same, okay? Those two are fine. But if you've got breakdown cover with a smaller breakdown. Like I think Green Flag's one. They offer a lot of cover for insurance companies. You might not find your cars covered. Green Flag don't cover cars over 16 years of age, as far as I'm aware, or at least 20. And that's a problem for Mark 1 owners, because if you break down, if you think you've got breakdown cover, check the small print to make sure that they will cover a car of this age. Otherwise, you'll be paying for it when they turn up. They won't drive off, but they'll want, we need payment to take you home or to take you to a garage to recover you. So you need to check that out. It's really important. I will touch on this more later on, but I am actually now, because I've got 3 cars, the Focus, in terms of insurance, I've got no breakdown cover for it at the moment because it's laid up. Beatrix, I think the breakdown cover is through the insurance, but it's not very good. I think if I broke down in Beatrix, I'm faced with the same problem. It might not be covered, so I'd have to pay. So I'm going to have to get that changed. And also the Fiesta, of which is laid up at the moment. I will be looking to take breakdown. I'm going to look at a few different places, but I'm sure there's specialist classic car breakdown companies that will basically, I think they're cheaper than the AA and the RAC, and they will cover a multiple number of cars over the age of 20. So I think this is something worth looking at. I'm looking at it because I've got 3 old cars. It's worth thinking about. Adam, on a random discussion on a Facebook group, seeing Mark 1 Focus with Mark 3 Mondeo front end. I think they're North American focuses, but when I saw one for the first time, I thought, what the hell? I've seen that a few times. I don't like them. I know exactly what you mean. I don't know why they've done that. Can you get classic insurance and Mark 1 Focuses yet? Oh, it's interesting you've said that, because I've said this. Yes, you can, because they're 20 years old. If your Focus is 20 years old, argue the top. If yours is not 20 years old, you can argue the toss. This car came out in 1998 and it didn't change. Argue the toss. I'll certainly be taking some classic insurance up next April with the Focus, and I'll get back to you. Footman James are the ones I'm looking at. Footman or Lancaster Insurance. I'm going to get some proper agreed valuation. You pay a bit more, but I want my car protected, because after putting 2,200 in paint alone, let alone everything else, thousands of pounds into that car, there's no way, if I had an accident, I'm getting the full value of what that is currently worth on paper, which I think will be quite an amount. I think my car is worth £4,000. I think my Focus is worth £4,000 as it is, because of how it is. I just do. I generically just do. And I want that protected, because at the before it was laid up, if somebody had knocked into me on the way back £1,000, that's it. I'd be heartbroken. Not because of the car necessarily, it's the cost as well. You've got to think about that. But please, I will, classic car insurance of Focus Mark 1s, I'm going to try and get somewhere in terms of, well, the Focus Mark 1 Preservation Group is a club. It's a free club, and I'm hoping that at the moment it's just the UK. I just want it to be the UK. It may expand, but I just wanted to keep it a little bit niche in the meantime. And for UK owners, I'm hoping in the future that we could establish as an official club. I don't know how we go about that, because I would have to talk to an insurer, maybe like Lancaster or Footman James, and say, look, we've got X amount of members here, and they want classic insurance. There's a demand here. Would you be able to do a deal for club members? That is what I want to achieve, but that's going to be years in advance. So it is going to be left to you guys to do some digging, but it's there. It will be there, and there will be some things going and happening going forward. No promises, but I definitely will look into that. YouTube is my TV. I think it is for most people these days. It still is. I'm going to watch a YouTube. I just think YouTube is not quite as popular as it was during the pandemic. But Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will last. I think it will. Could you help me with where the OBD port is? Yes. Basically, driver's seat. Underneath the steering wheel, there's a little shelf. Okay. In that little shelf, you'll see a little clip that you take out. This little piece with a little clip. Take it out. There's your plug. Okay. AA covers old cars. They do. They do. Some are limited to 15. I know, what a pain in the ass that is. You've got to check that out. And that's usually companies that do breakdown with insurance companies. Shaz, my car as a USer. It is beyond 10 o'clock, but I'll read these comments out. Don't put any more comments, guys, because I'm going to stop the live stream very imminently once I've got to the end of this. My car has a USer, 5.5 years, 31,000 miles, still faultless. Not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you were to say 10 years and 62,000 miles and it still works. The original Ford Motorcraft batteries, I was still on the original one when I bought the car. When I bought the car, it's still the original Motorcraft battery. It lasted to 2015, 13 years before it actually gave the goose up. And it still started the car. It took ages to crank it, but it still started it. So, yeah. Try and get yourself a Halfords trade card. Works on batteries, tools and parts. The problem is, how do you get a trade card? Because I'm not a business. That's the only thing, Gary. Actually, could you message me about that? Because if you know something that I don't, could you give me a message on Facebook? I know you got me on Facebook. About that, and I'll see if I can do something about that. I'm not being funny. I've got the Halfords Advanced Tool Set, the 200 kit over there. I could have got that on the trade, but I did get it on Black Friday for a deal. Jason, I have classic car insurance on my 2004 1.6 Edge with Haggerty. Have you? Wow, how did you manage to do that considering it's 18 years old? So you managed to twist it. So did you manage to do the old, like, well, it came out in 1998. Did you do that? That's really interesting. Ooh, what have they been like so far? Now, I'm assuming, is that agreed valuation? I'm assuming that might be. That's quite interesting, that is, Jason. So there you go, guys. Haggerty. That's the other one. So Footman James, Haggerty, Lancaster Insurance. Nick, it's under the... I'll go to all three and I'll compare quotes. It's under the steering wheel. There is small... Yes. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, exactly as I've said. Well done. An option I do is cover the person rather than the car. It applies to my daily... Yeah, I do that. It covers me whatever car I'm in. The AA are very good for that. But I was not willing to pay £150 back then for what was one car. Now I've got two, and well, three cars now. I'm kind of considering going back there because it might be worth my time, but it's still more expensive. There's a company, I'll get it online. I'll show you, let me get a name. Right. There's a company called GEM Motoring Assist. They've been around since 1932. Have a look at them. Their full comprehensive breakdown cover for a single person, covers you, whatever car, £97. Home assistance, roadside assistance, nationwide recovery. I need that. And onward travel. So they take you to where you want to go. It's important. When you've got older cars, you must have nationwide recovery, because you can decide, I don't want to go to the local garage. We're going straight back 200 miles down to Birmingham. Or you can tell them, I want to go to my destination. So what they'll do, they'll take my car back to Birmingham so I can stuff it in the garage and forget about it because I'm so annoyed. And someone sent me money. Who sent me some money? £2.52. Sorry, I didn't see that. Excuse me a second. I'll come back to that in a second. And then they'll take you to your destination. Believe it or not, up to a few passengers. That's what you're paying for. Now, this is £97. Recovery Extra, it's called. I think that's worth it. Check it out. GEM motoring assist. I'm going to go there because if that can cover me, whatever car, if it covers me to drive 3 old knackered cars, not knackered, but that'd be great. It's far cheaper than the AA. So I've got that here. I haven't taken the quote up. What I'll be doing is I'll be taking that up when I get Ruby sorted. I just hope that Beatrix doesn't break down. I'm not driving anywhere leery. Whoever has sent me that money, thank you so much. I don't know how that's not come up on my main screen. What? Thank you so much, Adam. It's gone up. Thank you very much. Whoever sent the £2 something, thank you very much also. I'm so sorry. I didn't even see. I'm blessed. Whatever you send, I'm blessed. At the end of the day, I've done many live streams where, nobody sent anything and I don't ask for anything because I suspect that the revenue I get from live streams is quite nice and healthy. I'll probably get like something like £6. So it's worth a couple of hours of my time. Anyway, so, it's just that. Anyway, sorry about rambling on. Trying to find the the chat now. Shazad, thank you very much. You were the one who sent the money. I'm so thankful for that. Thank you so much for sending that. It means a lot. That does. It means a lot. I'm so sorry. I've completely lost it. Money's got to my head. Agree, your focus is worth 4K. Thank you very much, buddy. Which is why I no longer want to drive it very much. The more it's worth, the more money you put into it. It's the curse of motoring. The curse of cars, older cars. The more money you put in, the more valuable they become, the less you want to use them. There is something beautiful about cheap Bangonomics. I would love to buy a car that I don't care a damn about and just basically use the bumpers as a bumper. I've seen people that use bumpers as a guide to tell them when to stop. When the bumper hits the wall, you stop. I think we all know somebody like that. Jason, my Edge was 450 with 3,000 degree value, including IC cover. Hear this, guys. Now, obviously, everyone's situation is different. That is cracking. 450 for an degree valuation on that. Thank you. So Haggerty is the one to go for. So I hope people watch this. And Jason has just given us a bit of an insight. I think you're the first person that I know, Jason, who has done this. Even I haven't done this. So well done. You've just shown me a little path. And everybody else. Jordan, is my Mark 1 2004 Focus EML 327 compatible? It is. It is. Don't worry about that. But you need to get a decent adapter. The cheap ones don't work. Paul, thanks for the info. My Focus normally only stalls once, but the tick over is constant. Yeah, the breather hose on the backside is a bit of a pain. They do tend to go. The other thing I would do, just to rule it out, is the idle control valve. It's right at the front. It's a big silvery thing. It might be a bit powdery over the years. But underneath that branch, you got this silver thing with 2 little 8mm bolts and a connector. Take it out. It's a little motor. It's a stepper motor. Clean it out. Okay, just completely clean it out. All right, and then see what happens. That will be a good top tip because usually they get gummed up. They don't usually fail. The idle control motors do not fail. I've got 4 of them. So if anybody wants one, they can have one if they're missing one. But to be fair, they don't go wrong, so you wouldn't really need one. Just clean it up. Bit of carb cleaner wouldn't go amiss. Nick, I've got the same cover. It's single cover with home start, nationwide recovery, parts labour, onward journey, or train tickets with the AA. Yes, you do get that. for £60 a month. That is expensive, but you are getting a lot. But I can understand that. But I would actually, Nick, I'd shop around. I'd shop around for that. You need to. You single cover, so you've covered yourself. That is quite a lot. I'd shop around. It looks like the AA might be taking you for a ride. Literally, they do tend to do that with existing customers. This is Martin Lewis on cars. This is, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do a special live stream. Andrew takes the Martin Lewis wig for consumer advice on insurance and breakdown cover. It all goes in hand. You know, it's all about keeping the cost low. It's all good talking about Mark 1s and the cars, but insurance, breakdown, you know, these are things we can haggle on. Can't do anything about the tax, unfortunately. Sent you a PM. Thanks, buddy. I will probably get to that before I go to sleep. I'll try to. Thanks. I was wondering, because the cheap one I bought doesn't work. That might be why it doesn't work, buddy. The cheap ones never really work properly. The connectivity doesn't work particularly well. I am now in the process of, I've actually bought, strangely, an old Samsung laptop with Windows 10, because this computer is Google Chromebook, because I do everything off Google Drive. I'm a Google man. But I've just bought a Samsung laptop off eBay, which works absolutely perfectly. It's an 18-inch monster compared to this, and it seems to be just as quick, strangely. But I tried to edit a video, and it seems to be just as quick. It's got a better graphics card, so I may just tweak that with my videos. So you might find I can put videos out quicker. But that I bought for I think it was £40 I paid for it. And it's a 9-year-old laptop, works perfectly fine, refurbished, all legit. And I have downloaded ForScan onto it, and I've just bought the correct adapter. And that's the best OBD. I've got an OBD2 scanner. I've got one over there, and it's a good scanner. But I like ForScan because ForScan can do a lot of things. And what I'm told is that you sign up for the free 2-month trial, then you get rid of it and you get another one. But I think you might have to keep changing your email. I think it might be a bit faffy, but that's fine. I'll just keep paying for the freebies as well. I think someone just said they just send you another link to the same email. That's what somebody else told me about ForScan. Don't pay for the real thing. Just keep getting the free trials every 2 months, and you have to reinstall it every 2 months. It's a bit of a faff. But you have to get the correct adapter, and it's called, I will type it into the comments. That, an OBD Link X ForScan adapter. That is the correct adapter. They're £65, but you can get them on Amazon right now for 51 quid if you're a Prime member. Sign up for the free. If you sign up for the free trial for a month, okay, get that for 51 quid, and then delete the membership unless you want to stay with Prime. Unless you are a Prime member, because you watch a lot of things on Amazon Prime. Good top tip, that. And that will allow you to program keys and everything. And I would like to bring that. If we have a Mark 1 focus gathering, I would like to do, well, I'll do a video demonstration of it for the channel. But I will also be available during a Mark 1 show. There'll be a couple of them next year, a couple of gatherings that I've organised. And I will hopefully do a video, chat to people, enjoy people's cars, have a walk around the museum with a few of my mates. A few of whom are watching this. And I will be available for an hour, probably during the day, if people want me to plug ForScan into their Focus. You know, maybe if they gave me, you know, £5 a pop for a scan, because if you go to a garage, they'll charge you £40 for a diagnostic. So £5 in cash, and I'll put my ForScan on your car. I'll delete codes. I'll tell you some codes. Might even program a key if you want me to. Might do that. So AA looks for deals. Unless you've got Forescan, in that case, you don't need me, do you? The AA looks for deals. Mine was ×2 for people 410. That's a pretty good deal, that is, actually, from what I've seen. Anyway, we have got to the end of this live stream chat, and I'm going to end it here after 2 hours and 15 minutes completely. Good man. That's the one to get. I mean, if you want to go down the route of Forescan, that is, Jordan, you can go for an EML 327, but they just read and delete codes if you want that. But if you want a bit more, if you want dealer level of control on a Mark 1, the sort of programming and computer control that you want to get information out the ECU, to program keys, to read codes, and to delve into every single system, get Forescan. There's nothing else like it. So I'll be going down that route, and hopefully you've had some consumer advice. It has been a Mark 1 surgery. It's been a Mark 1 general chat. Hopefully I've given some good advice to all those people that have watched this. I don't know how you've survived 2 hours and 15 minutes. I don't know when people have got 2 hours and 15 minutes of time. You've clearly got too much time on your hands. You need to get your hands dirty. Don't forget to keep a webcam free for our ST170 shows. We could do a link up. Gary, we could do a link up. If you are, we'll have to message about that. If you want to do some sort of collaboration, because I'm very well aware that the Mark 1 preservation group encompasses all Mark 1s, whether it's ST170s and RSs, and there are many members who are members of the ST170 Owners Club, the RS Club, and are part of our group. And I like that to be a nice mix. But if you want something more official, there is a couple of gatherings that will be happening at a couple of venues. So the only thing I will say is the emphasis on the group is not heavy modifications. We like things original and subtly modified. We don't go in for the heavy stuff. And I am aware that there are many ST170 members who have done a lot of mods to their cars, and I might consider that a little bit top heavy for me. So I'll have to think about how maybe we could do a show collab where it could be modified versus original. I don't know. I just think the generic ST170 population is modified. I can understand that. But I'm trying to think of how it could time with what I'm doing. We'll talk about that because it will be good. It'll be good. But I'll still turn up to it. If there's an ST170 show where I can turn up myself, I'll get some members together and I'll advertise it. All good. It's been fun. Cheers, Mark 1 Ford Nut. You take care, guys. I will see you soon in another live stream. I hope this has been useful for any Mark 1 owner. Thank you so much for Adam and Shazad for that money. It means a lot. It means a lot. As I say, don't ask for it, but it means a lot. Enjoy the live stream. Thank you very much, Nick. I hope to speak to you soon. Take care, buddy. Lovely. Good night, everyone. I will see you maybe next Tuesday. I won't try and make this too regular, okay? I don't want it to be too regular because otherwise something that's a bit regular can get a bit, it can get a bit tired, I find. So I'll probably come back to you in a few weeks' time because I will be a little bit more busy with Ruby. So maybe not next Tuesday, but you never know. It will be spontaneous. Take care, everyone.